The morning sun cast long shadows across the military base as General Marcus Thompson made his routine inspection rounds. At 52, he had seen 3 decades of service, from the humid jungles of Southeast Asia to the scorching deserts of the Middle East. His weathered face told stories of countless battles, and his sharp eyes missed nothing during these daily walks through the compound. As he approached the equipment storage area, Thompson noticed a lone figure methodically cleaning gear near the weapons lockers. The soldier worked with precise movements, each action deliberate and focused. From a distance, the general could see the soldier's compact frame and regulation haircut. But something about the way this person handled the equipment caught his attention. Thompson had developed an instinct over the years for recognizing exceptional soldiers. There was a certain quality in how they moved, how they treated their equipment, and how they carried themselves even during mundane tasks. This soldier displayed that rare combination of respect for weaponry and natural confidence that separated the ordinary from the extraordinary. The equipment area buzzed with typical morning activity. Other soldiers prepared for training exercises, checking radios, adjusting body armor, and organizing ammunition supplies. Yet this one figure seemed to exist in a bubble of concentration, unaware of the general's approach or the casual conversations happening around them. Thompson slowed his pace, observing the meticulous way the soldier broke down and reassembled components. Each piece was inspected, cleaned, and positioned with military precision that went beyond basic training requirements. This level of care spoke to someone who understood that their life and the lives of others depended on equipment functioning flawlessly when it mattered most. The general had served alongside many skilled marksmen throughout his career. He had witnessed incredible feats of accuracy under pressure, shots that saved entire units from enemy fire, and precision that turned the tide of battles. He knew how to recognize the signs of someone who possessed that rare combination of natural talent and relentless training. As he drew closer, Thompson could see the soldier's gear spread out in an organized pattern. Every item had its place, from the smallest cleaning tool to the most complex optical equipment. The arrangement spoke to a mind that thought systematically, someone who approached their craft with scientific precision rather than casual competence. The morning air carried the familiar sense of gun oil, metal polish, and the dry dust that seemed to permeate every military installation. These smells triggered memories of Thompson's own early days as a young officer, when he had learned to appreciate the importance of proper equipment maintenance from grizzled veterans who had survived conflicts through attention to such details. Thompson remembered his first encounter with a truly elite sniper during his lieutenant days. The experience had taught him that these specialists operated on a different level entirely. They saw details others missed, calculated variables others never considered, and maintained standards that exceeded normal military requirements. The soldier continued working, unaware that they had drawn the attention of one of the base's highest-ranking officers. Thompson appreciated this focus, recognizing it as the kind of concentration that separated competent soldiers from exceptional ones. In his experience, the best snipers possessed an almost meditative quality when working with their equipment, treating each component as a trusted partner rather than a mere tool. As Thompson took another step forward, his boot crunched softly on the gravel path. The sound was barely audible, but he noticed the soldier's slight pause in movement. This reaction confirmed his growing suspicion that he was observing someone with heightened situational awareness, another hallmark of elite military specialists. The general had learned to trust his instincts about people during his long career. Something about this soldier's bearing, their methodical approach to equipment care, and their natural alertness suggested capabilities that went far beyond standard infantry training. He decided to continue his approach, curious to learn more about this individual who had captured his professional attention. Staff Sergeant Sarah Chen heard the approaching footsteps but didn't look up from her work. Years of training had taught her to maintain focus while staying aware of her surroundings. She continued adjusting the scope mount on her rifle, making micro-adjustments that most soldiers would consider unnecessary, but which she knew could mean the difference between mission, success, and failure. Chen had joined the military 8 years ago with dreams of serving her country, but she never imagined she would become one of the most skilled marksmen in the entire armed forces. Her journey began in basic training when her drill instructor noticed her exceptional performance on the rifle range. While other recruits struggled to hit targets at standard distances, Chen consistently placed shots with accuracy that impressed even veteran instructors. The path to becoming a sniper had been grueling. The selection process eliminated 90% of candidates, testing not just shooting ability but mental toughness, patience, and the ability to remain calm under extreme pressure. Chen had excelled in every phase, from stalking exercises where she had to approach targets undetected, to precision shooting tests that challenged marksmen to hit targets at distances most people couldn't even see clearly. Her most challenging assignment had come during her deployment in Afghanistan, where mountainous terrain and extreme weather conditions tested every skill she had developed. The thin air at high altitude affected bullet trajectory in ways that required constant recalculation. Wind patterns changed unpredictably between mountain peaks, and temperature variations throughout the day meant that what worked at dawn might be completely wrong by afternoon. During one particular mission, Chen had been tasked with providing overwatch for a convoy traveling through a dangerous valley known for enemy ambushes. Intelligence reports suggested that insurgent snipers had been targeting coalition vehicles from elevated positions, using the terrain's natural advantages to strike and then disappear into the rocky landscape. Chen had positioned herself on a ridgeline that offered commanding views of the route below. For 6 hours she had remained motionless, scanning the opposite mountainside through her scope for any sign of enemy activity. The temperature had climbed to over 100 degrees, and the sun's glare off the rocks created heat mirages that distorted distant objects. At 13:47 hours, she spotted movement in a rocky outcropping across the valley. Through her scope, she could see the distinctive outline of a rifle barrel protruding from behind a boulder. The distance to target was extreme, requiring calculations that pushed her equipment and skills to their absolute limits. Chen had to account for bullet drop over the extended range, wind speed and direction at multiple points along the bullet's path, air density at high altitude, and even the rotation of the Earth during the projectile's flight time. She made minute adjustments to her scope settings, controlled her breathing to minimize movement, and waited for the perfect moment when all variables aligned. The shot she took that day saved the lives of 12 soldiers in the convoy below. The enemy sniper had been preparing to fire on the lead vehicle when Chen's bullet found its mark from a distance that seemed impossible to most observers. The precision required for such a shot represented the culmination of years of training and natural talent working in perfect harmony. After the mission, her commanding officer had recommended her for recognition, but Chen preferred to avoid publicity. She understood that her effectiveness depended partly on remaining anonymous, operating as a silent guardian that enemies never saw coming. The fewer people who knew her capabilities, the better she could protect her fellow soldiers. Now, as she worked on her equipment in the quiet morning hours, Chen reflected on how each mission had taught her something new. Every successful shot built confidence, but every missed opportunity reminded her that there was always room for improvement. She approached her craft with the humility of someone who understood that overconfidence could be fatal in her line of work. The sound of approaching footsteps grew closer, but Chen maintained her focus on the task at hand. She could tell from the cadence and weight of the steps that this was likely an officer making rounds, probably conducting a routine inspection of the base facilities. She had learned to work efficiently regardless of who might be observing, treating every task as if mission success depended on it. General Thompson stopped walking as his eyes focused on something that made him pause mid-stride. Attached to the soldier's gear, almost hidden among the various equipment and insignia, was a small metallic badge that caught the morning light. The gleam of polished metal drew his attention, but it was the numbers etched into the surface that made his breath catch slightly. The badge displayed markings that immediately commanded respect from anyone who understood their significance. In military circles, certain achievements were so rare and demanding that they created an instant recognition among those who had witnessed real combat. This particular badge represented a level of skill that Thompson had encountered only a handful of times during his entire career. Thompson's military experience had taught him to read the story that equipment and insignia told about a soldier's capabilities. Standard issue gear looked different when maintained by someone who depended on it for survival in life or death situations. The way components were arranged, the level of care and maintenance, and the presence of specialized equipment all provided clues about the person using them. The badge he was looking at represented confirmed kills at extraordinary distances, achievements that required not just exceptional marksmanship, but also advanced understanding of ballistics, weather patterns, and battlefield conditions. The numbers indicated successful engagements at ranges that pushed both human capability and equipment performance to their absolute limits. Thompson had served in various theaters where long-range precision fire had proved decisive in mission outcomes. He had witnessed situations where a single well-placed shot had prevented enemy attacks, protected advancing units, or eliminated high-value targets that threatened entire operations. The mathematical precision required for such shots went far beyond normal military training. The general understood that achieving confirmed kills at extreme distances required mastering variables that most soldiers never encountered. Bullet trajectory over long ranges was affected by gravity, air resistance, wind patterns at different altitudes, temperature variations, and even the Coriolis effect caused by Earth's rotation. Calculating these factors accurately under combat stress represented a rare combination of technical knowledge and nerves of steel. During his own combat experience, Thompson had called for sniper support in situations where conventional weapons couldn't reach enemy positions. He remembered the tension of waiting while a marksman calculated shot parameters, knowing that mission success might depend on a single bullet finding its target across seemingly impossible distances. The relief when such shots proved successful had taught him to deeply appreciate the skill involved. The numbers on the badge before him indicated engagements at distances where targets appeared as tiny specks through even the most powerful scopes. At such ranges, environmental factors became magnified, turning minor miscalculations into complete misses. Success required not just technical skill, but also patience to wait for optimal conditions and confidence to take shots when the moment was right. Thompson recalled briefings where intelligence officers had described enemy positions that seemed unreachable by conventional means. Terrain features, defensive preparations, and distance often created situations where only precision fire from extreme range could neutralize threats. The soldiers capable of such shots became force multipliers, extending the reach and effectiveness of entire units. The general also understood the psychological pressure involved in long-range engagements. Unlike close-quarters combat where actions happened quickly, precision shooting required deliberate calculation and patience. Marksmen had time to consider the weight of their actions, knowing that their decisions would have lasting consequences for both enemy forces and friendly units depending on their protection. As Thompson continued to study the badge, he recognized the level of dedication required to achieve such confirmed statistics. Range time alone wasn't sufficient. Real-world applications demanded adaptability to changing conditions, quick calculations under pressure, and the mental toughness to perform when others depended on success. Few soldiers possessed the combination of natural ability and acquired skills necessary for this level of performance. The morning sun continued to climb, creating shifting shadows across the equipment area. Other soldiers moved about their duties unaware that their general was observing someone whose achievements placed them among the military's most elite specialists. Thompson felt a familiar sense of professional pride in recognizing exceptional capability, knowing that soldiers like this represented the very best of military service. The badge seemed to tell a story of missions accomplished, threats neutralized, and fellow soldiers protected through precision fire, delivered across vast distances. Each number represented not just a successful shot, but a moment when training, equipment, and human skill had combined to achieve something extraordinary under the most challenging conditions imaginable. The numbers 3,200 meters confirmed seemed to shimmer in the morning light, as Thompson's military mind immediately began calculating what such a distance meant in practical terms. 3,200 meters represented nearly 2 miles of space between shooter and target, a distance where most people couldn't identify human figures even with binoculars, let alone engage them accurately with rifle fire. Thompson had studied ballistics throughout his career and understood the physics involved in extreme-range shooting. At 3,200 meters, a bullet would travel through the air for several seconds, during which time wind conditions could change, the target could move, and countless variables could affect the projectile's path. The fact that this soldier had confirmed kills at such distances indicated capabilities that bordered on the extraordinary. The general remembered his days at the War College, where instructors had presented case studies of legendary shots taken during various conflicts. Historical examples of extreme-range engagements were rare, precisely because the technical challenges made success so unlikely. Weather conditions, equipment limitations, and human factors all conspired to make long-distance precision fire one of the most demanding military skills. During his deployment as a younger officer, Thompson had witnessed the effects of precision fire from distances much shorter than 3,200 meters. Even at half that range, he had been amazed by the calculations required and the skill needed to place shots accurately. The idea that someone could consistently perform at twice those distances suggested a level of expertise that placed them among the world's most capable marksmen. Thompson understood that confirmed kills at such extreme ranges weren't achieved through luck or single exceptional shots. Military confirmation procedures required multiple witnesses, precise documentation, and verification through various means. The badge the soldier wore represented a pattern of success that could only come from masterful understanding of long-range shooting principles combined with exceptional natural ability. The technical aspects of such shots fascinated Thompson's analytical mind. At 3,200 meters, bullet drop would measure in multiple meters, requiring scope adjustments that pushed equipment to its limits. Wind deflection could move a projectile several feet off target, meaning marksmen had to read air currents accurately across the entire bullet path. Temperature and humidity affected air density, changing how projectiles flew through the atmosphere. Thompson also appreciated the tactical implications of capabilities at such ranges. Soldiers who could engage targets at 3,200 meters could provide support from positions that were effectively immune to return fire from most enemy weapons. This created enormous tactical advantages, allowing small units to influence large areas and protect friendly forces from previously unreachable positions. The general had read intelligence reports describing how enemy forces reacted to the presence of capable long-range marksmen. The psychological impact often exceeded the physical effects, as opponents became reluctant to expose themselves in areas where they might be vulnerable to precision fire. Single-skilled individuals could effectively control terrain and influence enemy behavior across vast areas. Thompson's respect for the soldier before him grew as he considered the dedication required to develop such capabilities. Achieving confirmed kills at 3,200 meters meant countless hours of practice, studying weather patterns, learning to read environmental conditions, and developing the physical skills necessary to place shots with surgical precision. This level of expertise represented years of focused development. The general also understood the responsibility that came with such capabilities. Soldiers who could engage targets at extreme distances often operated independently, making split-second decisions that could affect entire missions. The judgment required to use such skills effectively was as important as the technical ability to make the shots themselves. As Thompson continued to observe, he noticed other details that supported his growing assessment of this soldier's capabilities. The way equipment was arranged suggested someone who understood the importance of quick access during critical moments. Every item had a logical place, positioned for maximum efficiency when speed and precision were both essential. The morning air remained still, but Thompson knew that conditions could change rapidly, especially in combat environments. Soldiers operating at extreme ranges had to constantly monitor weather factors, adjusting their calculations as wind speed, direction, and other variables shifted throughout the day. The ability to adapt quickly to changing conditions was as crucial as initial shooting. Skills. Thompson felt a familiar sense of professional admiration for soldiers who pushed themselves to achieve excellence in their chosen specialties. The badge before him represented not just individual achievement, but also the kind of capability that enhanced the effectiveness of entire units and missions. Shen sensed the prolonged presence behind her and finally looked up from her equipment. When she saw the general's insignia, she immediately stood at attention, her movements crisp and precise despite having been in a relaxed working position moments before. Years of military training had ingrained automatic responses to senior officers, but she maintained the calm composure that marked her as someone accustomed to pressure situations. At ease, Staff Sergeant, General Thompson said, his voice carrying the authority of his rank while maintaining a respectful tone. His eyes moved briefly to the badge on her gear before returning to meet her gaze. I couldn't help but notice your equipment maintenance standards. Very impressive attention to detail. Chen relaxed slightly but remained alert, unsure why a general would take interest in routine equipment care. She had learned early in her career that when senior officers paid attention to individual soldiers, it usually meant something significant was about to happen. Her experience had taught her to remain ready for unexpected developments while maintaining professional composure. "Thank you, sir," Chen replied simply. She had learned that brief, respectful responses were usually appropriate when dealing with high-ranking officers during impromptu encounters. Her training had emphasized the importance of letting superiors direct conversations rather than volunteering unnecessary information. Thompson gestured toward the badge that had caught his attention. "That's quite an achievement you're wearing there, Staff Sergeant. 3,200 meters is impressive distance work." His tone conveyed genuine professional respect rather than casual curiosity, indicating his understanding of what such numbers represented in military terms. Chen felt a moment of surprise that the general had recognized the significance of her badge. Many officers understood general military insignia, but specific marksman achievements were often overlooked by those who hadn't served in combat roles. His recognition suggested experience with precision fire operations and an appreciation for the skills involved. "The conditions were favorable for those engagements, sir," Chen responded modestly. Her training had taught her to avoid appearing boastful about achievements, especially when discussing them with senior officers. She understood that exceptional performance was expected rather than remarkable in military service, and that humility was more appropriate than pride when discussing successful missions. Thompson smiled slightly at her understated response, recognizing the humility that often characterized truly skilled soldiers. In his experience, the most capable individuals rarely boasted about their achievements, preferring to let their performance speak for itself. This attitude was particularly common among specialists who understood that overconfidence could be dangerous in their line of work. "Favorable conditions still require exceptional skill to capitalize on," the general observed. "I've seen plenty of marksmen miss targets at half that distance even under perfect circumstances. What you've achieved there represents mastery of your craft." His words carried the weight of someone who had witnessed many combat situations and understood the difference between competence and excellence. Chen appreciated the recognition, but remained focused on the conversation's direction. She had learned that discussions with senior officers often had purposes beyond casual conversation, and she wanted to understand what had prompted this interaction. Her experience suggested that such encounters usually led to new assignments or responsibilities. "May I ask about your background, Staff Sergeant?" Thompson continued. "How long have you been specializing in precision fire?" His question seemed genuine rather than formal, suggesting personal interest in her development rather than routine administrative inquiry. 8 years total service, sir, with 5 years in precision roles, Chen answered. "I completed sniper school after my second deployment and have been assigned to specialized units since then." She provided factual information without elaborating unnecessarily, maintaining the professional tone appropriate for the situation. Thompson nodded approvingly. 8 years represented substantial experience, and 5 years in precision roles indicated sustained excellence rather than temporary assignment. The timeline suggested steady progression and continued effectiveness in demanding positions that required both technical skill and mental toughness. "Multiple deployments with specialized units," the general mused. "That explains the confidence I noticed in your equipment handling. There's a difference between range-trained marksmen and combat-experienced precision shooters." His observation demonstrated understanding of how real-world experience differed from training environments. Chen recognized that the general's comments showed sophisticated understanding of her field. His distinction between different types of marksman experience indicated familiarity with precision fire operations and appreciation for the additional complexities that combat environments introduced to long-range shooting. The conversation was developing beyond casual recognition of her achievements. Thompson's questions and observations suggested he was evaluating her capabilities for reasons beyond simple professional curiosity. Chen maintained her respectful demeanor while staying alert for indications of where this interaction might lead. General Thompson paused thoughtfully before continuing, his expression becoming more serious as he considered his next words carefully. "Staff Sergeant, I'm going to share something with you that requires discretion. We've been developing a specialized training program for extreme-range precision fire, and we need someone with your demonstrated capabilities to help design and implement the curriculum. Chen felt a surge of interest mixed with caution. Special programs often meant increased responsibility and challenges, but they also typically involved classified elements that could complicate her military career. Her experience had taught her to carefully consider any opportunities that deviated from standard military assignments, especially when they came directly from senior leadership. The program aims to push precision fire capabilities beyond current standards, Thompson explained. We're looking at engagements in the 4,000 to 5,000 meter range, which will require new techniques, equipment modifications, and training methodologies. Your proven performance at extreme distances makes you an ideal candidate to help develop these capabilities. The distances Thompson mentioned represented territory that even Chen had never explored seriously. Her confirmed kills at 3,200 meters had pushed her equipment and skills to their limits, and extending those capabilities by another 50 to 60% would require fundamental advances in both technology and technique. The challenge was intriguing but also daunting. The strategic implications are significant, the general continued. Forces capable of precision fire at 5,000 meters could provide support from positions that are essentially invulnerable to conventional return fire. Small teams could influence large areas and provide protection for major operations from previously impossible distances. Chen understood the tactical advantages such capabilities would create. Current doctrine already recognized how extreme-range precision fire could control terrain and influence enemy behavior, but extending those ranges would multiply those effects dramatically. The psychological impact on opposing forces would be substantial when they realized they could be engaged from distances they couldn't even see clearly. What would my role involve, sir? Chen asked, recognizing that she needed more specific information before she could properly evaluate the opportunity. Her military experience had taught her to understand assignments clearly before committing to them, especially when they involved specialized or experimental work. Initially, equipment testing and technique development, Thompson replied. We have prototype rifle systems and advanced optics that need evaluation by someone with your experience. You would work with our research teams to identify what works, what doesn't, and what modifications are needed to achieve reliable performance at extended ranges. The prospect of working with cutting-edge equipment appealed to Chen's professional interests. Throughout her career, she had pushed standard military gear to its limits and often wished for improvements that could enhance her capabilities. The opportunity to influence the development of next-generation systems was professionally exciting. The program also involves training development, the general added. Once we establish effective techniques and equipment configurations, we'll need to create training curricula that can prepare other marksmen to operate at these extended ranges. Your combat experience would be invaluable in ensuring the training reflects real-world conditions. Chen appreciated that the assignment would involve both technical development and knowledge transfer. Her experience had shown her the gaps between theoretical training and practical application, and she understood how important it was to prepare other soldiers for the realities they would face in combat situations. There would be substantial travel involved, Thompson noted. Testing sites, research facilities, and eventually training locations across multiple bases. The work would be demanding, but also offer opportunities for professional development that aren't available through conventional assignments. The mention of travel and diverse locations interested Chen, who had found that exposure to different environments and challenges had contributed significantly to her professional growth. Varied assignments had taught her to adapt her techniques to different conditions and had broadened her understanding of precision fire applications. I should mention that this program has high visibility at senior levels, the general added. Success could significantly impact your career progression, but the demanding nature of the work and experimental aspects also carry some risk. You would be pioneering techniques that have never been attempted. Systematically, Chen understood that high visibility assignments could accelerate career advancement, but also increase scrutiny and pressure to succeed. The experimental nature of the work meant that failure was possible despite best efforts, and she would need to carefully balance innovation with realistic expectations. How soon would you need a decision, sir? Chen asked, recognizing that such a significant opportunity required careful consideration of its implications for her career and personal goals. General Thompson checked his watch and nodded approvingly at Chen's thoughtful approach to his offer. "Take 48 hours to consider it, Staff Sergeant. This isn't a decision to make lightly, and I respect that you want time to think through the implications." His tone conveyed understanding that major career decisions required careful consideration rather than immediate responses. "I appreciate that, sir," Chen replied. "May I ask who else would be involved in the program?" She wanted to understand the team dynamics and leadership structure before committing to such an intensive assignment. Her experience had taught her that successful specialized programs depended heavily on having the right combination of personalities and expertise. You would be working directly with Dr. Sarah Martinez from our Advanced Weapons Research Division and Colonel James Harrison, who oversees our Special Operations Training Development, Thompson explained. Both have extensive experience with precision fire systems, though they'll be relying on your combat expertise to guide practical applications. Chen recognized both names from military publications and conference presentations. Dr. Martinez had authored several papers on ballistics optimization, while Colonel Harrison had developed training programs that were considered models throughout the military. Working with such respected professionals would provide excellent learning opportunities, while contributing her own combat experience to their theoretical knowledge. The initial assignment would be 6 months, with possible extension based on program progress and your interests, the general continued. During that time you would maintain your current rank, but receive special duty pay and access to resources that most soldiers never see. The experience alone would be invaluable for your professional development. The timeline seemed reasonable to Chen, providing enough duration to make meaningful contributions, while not representing an overwhelming commitment. 6 months would allow her to evaluate whether the work matched her expectations and interests, while the possibility of extension meant she wouldn't be locked into a lengthy assignment if circumstances changed. "One more thing, Staff Sergeant," Thompson added with a slight smile. "This program has attracted attention from allied nations who are interested in developing similar capabilities. You might find yourself working with international partners, which could provide unique perspectives on precision fire applications." The international aspect intrigued Chen, who had always been interested in how different military forces approached similar challenges. Learning from foreign specialists could broaden her understanding of precision fire techniques and expose her to equipment and methods she might not encounter otherwise. "I'll have my decision for you within 48 hours. "Sir," Chen confirmed. "Thank you for considering me for this opportunity. It sounds like exactly the kind of challenge that could advance both my skills and my contribution to military capabilities." Thompson extended his hand for a professional handshake. "Excellent. Report to my office at 0800 on Thursday with your decision. Regardless of what you choose, Staff Sergeant, that badge represents achievements that honor our entire service. Keep up the outstanding work." As the general walked away, Chen returned to her equipment with a mind full of possibilities. The opportunity represented a chance to push the boundaries of what was possible in precision fire. Working with cutting-edge technology and respected professionals to develop capabilities that could protect future generations of soldiers, she considered the challenges involved in extending effective range by nearly 60%. The technical obstacles would be substantial, requiring innovations in equipment techniques and training methods. Weather effects would be magnified at longer ranges, requiring more sophisticated calculation methods and possibly new technological solutions. The responsibility of training other soldiers to operate at such extreme ranges also weighed on her mind. Her own development had required years of gradual progression, building skills and confidence through countless hours of practice. Condensing that learning into a systematic training program would require careful analysis of what made the difference between competence and excellence. Chen finished organizing her equipment, but her thoughts remained focused on the decision ahead. The program offered professional challenges that matched her interests and capabilities, while potentially contributing to military effectiveness in ways that could save lives in future conflicts. The combination of technical innovation, international cooperation, and knowledge transfer represented exactly the kind of meaningful work she had hoped to find in her military career. As she secured her gear for transport, Chen reflected on the path that had brought her to this moment. From basic training through multiple deployments, each experience had built the skills and confidence that made her qualified for such an opportunity. The journey from recruit to elite marksman had required dedication, but it had also provided purpose and fulfillment that made the challenges worthwhile, and the next 48 hours would determine whether her career would take a new direction toward innovation and training development or continue along the successful path she had already established. Either choice represented a continuation of her commitment to excellence in service to her country and fellow soldiers.